Hey, what's up? Um, Man, I really gotta stop doing weed before you do these videos, but can't resist again. I was watching Marjorie's video. By the way, Kelly, I also got your video about the pronunciation of cunt. And believe it or not, I watched the 3 Minute Philosophy, and I remember that portion where he's like, that one accent guy, uh, he's like, yeah, it's cunt, say it right, it's like cunt, wait till you're mature and get over it. I heard that whole little portion. I seriously thought the dude was joking, so I guess it is really cunt, so I'll stop calling him cant. Anyway, so Kant is a pretty interesting philosopher. Back to the video about Marjorie, the religious view. That was fascinating, very, and I'm really glad that you posted that because, you see, I've been wanting for a long time to actually do one of those myself. I didn't even know what I was gonna do with that. I mean, I had the idea that I wanted to uh, put in video my own religious views and how I, you know, took that road and whatnot, but I ended up thinking, am I going to do a documentary, maybe produce a script for a film? And hey, I mean, these philosophy sound bites are actually actually a great place to do that. Oh, now I just realized something. Now that I'm holding the camera like this, I was realizing, I was trying to find out yesterday why my arm was like hurting so much, and I was like, what the hell? Is it maybe when you're on substance or something and you overthink like a certain sensation or a certain area to be, painful even when it's not, and if you self-deceive yourself into believing it, you'll get that pain. I really thought that's what it was, but apparently, I just realized right now it's me holding the camera. Anyhow, um, hmm, my religious views. I started off myself Catholic, and a devout Catholic, probably the most devout I would say in my family. Um, I literally would pray every single night before I went to bed, and at least for like a good, felt almost like a half an hour, sometimes an hour. And I had some really, really long conversations with God, and or so I believed, and things about. And now that I think a little bit back to it, some of those prayers were quite egotistic. I mean, a lot of things were just about fulfilling my own desires or getting what I wanted. Um, and in an interesting way, after learning about the laws of attraction, and trying to parallel the events of prayer and how in what sort of state of attitude or mind I was in when praying, I wonder if that affected in any way. Well, it probably did, insofar as the truth of the laws of attraction stand. Perhaps that was probably, those prayers were those, that inner sort of conversation, I guess, revealed something into the universe and thereby bringing it back to me. So if I was praying for a certain, let's say, person, um, perhaps some sort of thing happened. I don't know. Anyway, but prayer was a big thing. I mean, I would also do the rosary too, a lot. And at first, being a believer wasn't really so much about gaining admission into heaven. I mean, it was definitely uh, a faculty that really made me, cautious not to want to break too many of the moral commandments and whatnot. But it wasn't probably the biggest. It wasn't the biggest motivation for me to be religious. It's not because if I go to hell, I mean, I wasn't scared of going to hell. To an extent, I was, but that wasn't my concern, as I'm saying. I think my biggest thing with religion was that I would get something out of it, and that something was revolved around through my prayer, my spiritual talks with God, and even I think after a certain age, I think it was perhaps around junior high, when religion actually became a known faculty in my front lobe of my head. Before the earlier ages, it was kind of a lot of things weren't even considered. As I suspect, most children at that stage don't really think about bigger concepts like politics and religion. So at that stage, when I started kind of thinking more about God and how my religion, my Catholic religion, how it worked, given that I went to a private school and my school epiphany was coupled with the parish Epiphany Catholic Church, I started seeing how the authority figures, they weren't divine. At first I kind of thought they where the priest somehow directly communicated some messages to God and things. Um, as far as the saints, I mean, them too, I wasn't sure exactly how much esteem to put to them, or and there'd be a lot of times when I would be praying, and I would pray to God, and I would hope that uh, He would. I mean, in the act of my prayer, I was praying to Him, and there would be times where I'd also switch the prayer over to Mary, and I'd say, "Please tell God, to as a supplement to what I already told Him, maybe just kind of give Him a nudge to kind of, you know." Uh, and now that I look back at it, I feel kind of silly doing that. But anyway, I know, I'm sorry. I mean, now that I realize that I'm also speaking to a crowd of believers also that are listening to this YouTube video, and I don't mean to be insulting. I'm just kind of saying my views as they are as stands. And right now I'm an atheist in some respects, somewhat agnostic. But um, anyhow, yeah. But looking at that view, yeah, I would sometimes be unsure of who to partition the most favor to, and in most cases, I would imagine it was Jesus or God. Um, and given, I guess, that logic that the Trinity, God is the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and whatnot, and at times I would be so confused. Um, there's a huge, in my opinion, even still, there's a huge obfuscation in that religion about that Trinity, because to some respect, and let's maybe, I mean, I wouldn't say for all. I'm sure maybe the theologians have a better understanding and grapple better with it, but to the average layperson, I mean, the Trinity is quite a puzzle to piece together. I mean, I understand ultimately in the doctrine it's a mystery, but it nonetheless is. Um, it should be better articulated in the masses, or at least in all masses, especially some of like the low-income areas like South Amani, like where I'm at. Um, anyhow, I would think that the Trinity is God the Father is the same as God the Son, is the same as God the Holy Spirit, and they're all they make up one body. Um, but I never really thought too much until I started getting more, my skeptical inquiry side of my mind. Did I start actually delving into the ideas of Jesus' divinity and his humanity and his spirituality, all sort of, how was that possible? Was another stepping stone that led me sort of astray into my later atheism. Um, so when Jesus died and ascended into what was supposed to be heaven, I wondered where there was another factor there. Location, spatial location. Where was heaven? Where was hell? Where were these places? And then purgatory, the once in a while sort of, let's bring up that concept, usually came back from time to time from the family, and they would say stuff like, "Oh, I think it exists." What is it? Oh, it's a place like limbo. Is limbo the same thing? No. What is limbo? Well, there's a distinction, but I can't think of it. So I mean, there was a lot of confusion even within my family about what the difference between purgatory and limbo was. Apparently, limbo was a state between nowhere, which in some senses sound actually peaceful, and in some senses a little scary, because the mysterious is always scary. You don't know what it is. So limbo, is it an advantageous place to be, or is it a punishment place? Who knows? Purgatory apparently was a place where all the souls go because they didn't make it into heaven but are still waiting for admission in some respect. Hopefully that's not an oversimplification, but somewhat like that. And apparently even to the way I understood my religion, Mother Teresa and even the most valuable saints that have contributed their lives following the code of the Bible, apparently also probably, according to some family members and some religious folks I remember conversing with, they would say things like, yeah, you would still need some purgatory time before you actually get into the real gates of heaven. I would wonder why. And another big thing that always kept me occupied, at least with the mythology of behind the scriptures in some cases, was the Satan, good and evil. This is the part that really packed a punch for me. I would wonder what Satan looks like if he really takes forms. I think Hollywood had a lot to do with my interpretation of the devil also. But anyway, back to the mythology that always kind of